Hey everybody, welcome back to Good Night. Should be an interesting debate between a guy in his 50s and a guy in his 20s talking politics. Donald Trump, the President of the United States, last week told the squad of 4 freshman congressmen to go back to their countries. Now, we could talk all night about it. I'll be the first one to start off the conversation. I tweeted that I thought it was wrong that the President of the United States said that. Because 3 of the 4 people were actually born here, and all 4 of them are a United States citizen. I think he was wrong. We're here to talk about it if it was racist. Nick, we'll start with you, the younger one of the crowd. Was Donald Trump, what he said, racist, or is he a racist?
I think what he said was completely racist, and yes, I think overall that Donald Trump is a very racist man. Like, there's so much evidence to back it up that, like, I don't really think there even really is much of an argument to say that he's not.
All right, we'll back it up then. How do you back it up?
Well, let's go way back to what his entire election pretty much stood on, to create a border wall on the Mexican border. Now, I'm not saying that better border security is not a good thing. I am of the belief that the border needs to be a little bit more well backed up in terms of just the overall immigration process in general. But Donald Trump was doing it in a place of hate because he is biased against anybody of Hispanic descent. And to bring it to the congressman, sorry, I was told I was going to be doing this debate right when I came in today. So he tells people who aren't white, just any people who are not of Caucasian skin color, to just go back to their country without, number one, backing up to see if they are even from this country or not. Great example of this, Barack Obama, the birther movement. Mm-hmm. His entire argument based on, for anyone who doesn't know, back when Barack Obama was president, Donald Trump began this entire movement to try and get Barack Obama to present his birth certificate because Donald Trump did not believe that he was from this country, that he was not a United States citizen, that he was not born in the United States. And his only evidence for this claim was that Barack Obama was not a white man. And Donald Trump was not a fan that Barack Obama was an American citizen. Barack Obama was then proven to be an American citizen, but Donald Trump didn't take that as enough proof.
All right, John, your thoughts.
Well, let's start with his tweet, okay? In his tweet, yes, I will concede. Was it a great choice of words? No. Was it factually correct? No, and I think he acknowledges that. Was it racist? That's debatable. Does he attack any ethnicity? No. Does he attack any country? No. Does he attack any person? No. And he clarified his comments when he came out and he said, these are 4 congresswomen who have demonstrated that they don't like him. This is what he said. These aren't my words, folks, okay? Don't kill me. I know some of you want to, but don't worry about it. He clarified his comments saying that these women, he says they hate America, right? So what he's saying is that their philosophies and beliefs kind of go against what our culture has become, right? And he's saying if they don't like it, he'll leave. Just like Alec Baldwin said he was going to leave and he didn't leave. And all these actors and actresses that didn't leave, right? Cher and there's been a bunch of others. So actually, one of them did leave. One of them did move to Toronto, I think. But anyway, the Barack Obama birther movement wasn't Donald Trump. He just kind of stepped on the gas and said, hey, I just want to see a birth certificate. I want to see a birth certificate. He never attacked Barack Obama. He never attacked anybody from the Middle East, right? He never attacked anybody from another country. He never attacked anybody's race, right? There was some evidence to show, there was some evidence out there there was some evidence out there to lead people to believe that Barack Obama may have not have been born here, such as registering as a foreign student when he went to Columbia, right? Now,
in a different name.
In a different name and all these other things, right? Now, personally, did I think Barack Obama was born in another country? No, I thought he was born in Hawaii. I thought it was legitimate from the beginning. I never questioned it, no problems. But he wanted proof and evidence, and eventually it was produced. It was produced in his second term, but it was produced. But do I think he's a racist? Well, there's a story. Did you ever hear this story? There was one Christmas Eve night that there was a homeless man out in New York who happened to run into Donald Trump at one of his hotels. He was sitting outside, and Donald Trump stood him up, gave him a job. And this was in the 80s. This man's still working for him and praises him day to day. I've known people that personally worked in his campaign and traveled around the country with him, right? And they weren't middle-aged white men, okay? Spoke volumes of the man, some of the things he's done. Now, personally, I've never interacted with him, okay? I've never sat down and have a conversation with him, okay? I can't see somebody raising to the level that he's raised and done the things that he's doing as being a racist. Does he use bad words? Not bad words. Does he use poor choices of words? Yes. Has he done it multiple times? Does he tweet before he thinks? Yes. Okay? Does it make him a racist? I don't think so.
So Nick, you made a statement earlier that he's obviously has anything against any Hispanic people. What do you reference when you say something like that?
Well, actually, a point that kind of ties into that and to something John just said. Going back to when he said, if you don't like it here, then leave. So if that is the case, if he's straight up saying, if you don't like the way your country is, then leave, you would think that he would have the same values towards people who are trying to come into this country because they don't like how things are in their country, and has not made the immigration process even any easier for other people who are trying to do the same thing that he is instructing these people to do.
How do you make it easier?
Well, I'm not quite sure I'm the right person to speak on that, but it's his job to try and find a way to make that easier. Instead of, stopping all immigration whatsoever, like he's been trying to kind of do with a wall and separating families from their children at a border stop.
Well,
Fair to say that
that's
he
been going on for like almost 30 years.
Oh, I'm not saying that
He didn't start it.
I
I'm
know
not saying he can't fix it, but he didn't
I'm not saying he
start it.
didn't start it, but it is certainly became a bigger issue as of late.
More
and
harder,
not stopping something, I would say, is close to the same level as he might as well have just be condoning it.
People, us living up here in the Northeast, 18, 2,000 miles away from the border, we're not the right people to have the opinion on the border. You got to live down there. You have to understand what goes on, right? You really need to live like in San Antonio and Amarillo, Texas, and Galveston, and all these towns that are on the border to really understand. Now,
your eyes will tell you that we got a problem.
yeah.
Your eyes will tell you we got a problem.
And you're going to hear you can hear millions of different stories. You can hear stories of, ripping, when they say ripping children from babies, children from the mother's arms, that's not literally like,
Oh, no.
no, right? And, that's all rhetoric brought up by the Liz Warrens of the world, who are just trying to score political points. Who, by the way, came out today and said we're looking at another economic collapse in 2020. Did you hear that?
I did see that. I did see that.
Okay. So, until you can really understand what's going on down in the borders, whether you're in Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, right, even Miami, right, because they get a lot of Cuban refugees.
Mhm.
Well,
Yep.
probably not as many as they used to.
Well, the southern border is a bigger concern than the
Bigger
northern
concern.
border.
Right.
But speaking of down south, President Trump was in North Carolina holding a Trump rally again last week, and the crowd started chanting, "Send them back, send them back." He then says the next day that he tried to tamper that down. I watched the footage of that. He did not try to tamper that down. And, sometimes I think, Mr. President, you just should have said, listen, I could have handled that better. Instead, he says,
Well, to
I
him,
tried
not,
this.
to him not putting gasoline on the fire is tamping it down.
So that goes back to the point is that, the conversation that we're having tonight is Donald Trump a racist? I don't know. I think he does a lot of silly things. I think he does a lot of stupid things. I think he says a lot of stupid things. But then you look at some of his history, and some of his history says that he's made a difference in the black community. His work with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton is well documented. But then other people have told me that, his father was friends with David Duke. So I think Donald Trump is a impromptu takes opportunities to its fullest advantage. And I think he's his own worst enemy. And I think he's brought a lot of controversy and shame to the country. But the question I have for both of you now is the word racist gets thrown around so often and so easily now that what does it mean to anybody anymore? And we'll start with you, John. I mean, when somebody says,
It's definitely muddled, and Congress taking that vote really lowers the bar. Now, can we take a look a step further?
Sure.
Look at Ayanna Pressley's comments.
Okay. The Congresswoman from Massachusetts,
Right. Are you familiar with
specifically
with
the Somerville area.
okay.
Yep.
She said, brown people. We need to elect brown people that are going to represent brown initiatives, right? Something like that.
Okay.
Now, that's saying, okay, only brown people can be elected for these certain issues, which kind of cuts off all kinds of other people. That to me, that's more. Her comments are much more racist than anything Donald Trump has ever said.
Okay. Nick?
I don't necessarily say that that was the best way to word that, but I think what she means is kind of like what you, along the same lines of what you were saying about to only understand the border, you need to kind of live down there. Mm-hmm. To understand, the issues of a certain background of a person, you need representation from that background as well to fully understand, certain social issues that they go through. Now, we don't experience such comments about, we need white people to figure out white issues because it's kind of how it's always been, government in the United States.
Did you notice the one color she left out?
I did not. What was that?
Take a wild guess.
I'm assuming it was white.
It was white. Now, when you're elected to Congress, you represent a district. Folks there can be Asian American, they can be African American, they can be Latino, they can be white, they can be any European descent, right? They can be from anywhere. They could be Samoan, they could be Hawaiian, anything, right? Mm-hmm. Does it matter? Does it really matter if the representative is black, white, Hispanic, Latino? Doesn't really matter, right? It shouldn't.
It shouldn't matter. But you've been in politics a long time, as I have been. Sometimes it does, though. Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does.
And I think, that is sometimes the case. I've been to 5 Trump rallies, either in terms of politics or covering them from media events. It's fair to say it is a predominantly white crowd. Mm-hmm. Predominantly, I'm not saying that it's an all-white crowd, but it is a predominantly white crowd. But I have been struck by some supporters that I've actually interviewed at some Trump rallies from the African American and the Hispanic community. He does have support in those communities, and he actually did well nationwide in some of those demographics. Is this going to work against him in his re-election campaign? Because some people are saying that he's trying to divide this country by design to win the next election.
He's already won the next election.
What do you think, Nick? Is he trying to divide the country, or is he just stupid with his comments?
I don't know if he set out to divide the country. I think he is doing that, but I'm also not sure he's 100% aware that he is doing that. As much as I hate to admit it, Donald Trump probably has won the next election. I unfortunately think that is kind of the situation we're in. Of course, only time will tell. I'm not going to speak more on that, but hopefully
Donald
I'm wrong.
Trump real war isn't with any ethnic group, isn't with any person. It's with the media. That's his only war.
But he started that war himself.
He did,
and
he did, and he wanted that fight, and he's brought it on, and he's fought it better than probably anybody else ever has. I mean, he's trying to. What he's been trying to do the last 4 years is point out the dishonesty in the media, the double standard in the media, and he's brought that to the forefront, and people are recognizing it now. I mean, look at the news. The news organizations are all falling off. Nobody's reading newspapers anymore, which is.
Well, that has nothing to do with.
There's a lot to do with the left. The media the media leans to the left. It's leaning harder now, right?
But he's chosen Twitter to get his message out to the base rather than the media. Is that a good decision?
Whereas I don't necessarily agree with his messages, I do actually think it is a good method. I think he needs a little bit more help, proofreading and making sure what he sends out is not absolutely ridiculous. But I think To kind of expand on what I just said about it has nothing to do with it. No one reads newspapers anymore. We are, as a society, looking for more fast-paced ways of everything, and that includes how we get our news and our information. And I think Twitter is a really modern and active way to get information out quickly, so a lot of people will see it, and it comes directly from you, and it's not spun in any sort of way.
But in everybody's rush now to get the exclusive story or the breaking news, a lot of times what you read on Twitter or other social media is not accurate.
This is true.
If you used to read it in the newspaper, for the most part,
It's a 24-hour
it
news
was,
cycle.
it was factual.
Everybody wants to be first. And we're finding out a lot of times getting first is wrong, like that legislator down in Georgia. That's now a hoax, right?
Right.
Someone told us, go back to where you came from, wherever,
And she now admits that
it's a hoax.
that the guy never said it. Yeah.
Barack Obama was the first president to use social media to get elected, and he did a masterful job at it. And, a lot of times getting ahead, like the first guy to send out postcards rather than send out
Right.
things in envelopes. He's a brilliant guy. Who was that guy? But anyway.
So getting back to, the
Twitter,
topic of the discussion, is Trump a racist? You both have said tonight that you both think Donald Trump will get reelected. One of you happily, one of you begrudgingly. So if a country elects a president who most people identify as a racist, what does that tell you about America right now?
I think a lot of Americans recently are inherently racist, at least the ones that are out voting.
Okay, well, that's a controversial statement. Okay.
Well,
well, the thing is, who's saying he's a racist is the press. And the press wants to portray him as a racist, right? Nancy Pelosi wants to portray him as a racist.
Right.
So you got to consider the source. And I think the country, I've always said America votes for what it needs. It always does. We've done it for a million years, 200 and something years now, right? And the American people can kind of see through what's going on in the media. American people are smart. They're not, that's why we always vote for what we need. I mean, we needed Barack Obama at the right time because he was that type of guy that could kind of hope and change. He could soothe our old wounds and things like that. Now people voted for Donald Trump. You know why? Because the people were just tired of, people wanted somebody who's just going to throw a right-handed punch when we needed to throw a right-handed punch, and that's what he is. And who's going to be the next president 6 years from now? What's America going to need in 6 years? And that's what the person's going to win.
Have either one of you followed Marianne Williamson's rise up through the Democratic ranks? She's running basically on a platform of love. And she basically called out Trump at the last Democratic debate and just said that she would debate him on stage. And, her words that Trump runs on hate, she's run on love. I think that would make for a fascinating debate. I've actually followed her. She's got a pretty interesting message. I don't know that she can govern, but I do know that she's got a message that she believes in.
Speaking of messaging, see his messaging is falling apart in front of his eyes.
Who was that?
It was Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders wants 15. Was it $20 an hour now? Minimum wage?
$15 an hour.
Someone wants 20 now.
He wasn't paying his campaign workers.
He's not paying his. He's not paying.
He couldn't afford to.
Couldn't afford to. He's got to lay them off, cut their hours, not give them health benefits, and they're like, "Well, wait a minute. You said every health care is a right." Yeah.
So I think Bernie's time has passed. I think he missed the bus. Do you agree?
No, I agree. I think he really did miss the bus, and I think he overshot the runway.
He's finding out his utopia is not reality, which will filter down to the squad, who believes in his utopia. Except for Ayanna Pressley, I don't think she's that far deep. I think believe it or not, of the four of the squad, I think she's the sane one.
I would agree. I think that's a fair statement. Who on the Democratic stage in the debate has the best chance to defeat Donald Trump? And will race become an issue in that head-to-head race? Go ahead.
Certainly Elizabeth Warren, I think, actually has the best chance. I can't say that I'm an Elizabeth Warren supporter.
And a woman who claims to have been an Indian, and it has been proven to be fake, then pull the race card on the President of the United States.
Well, it's certainly going to happen. Whether she has the right to pull that card or not is, up for the voters to decide, but, I'm not going to get into that. But I do think that she has the best shot. I think Bernie Sanders, as we've said, is he was a last election kind of thing. I don't think Joe Biden really has as high a shot as many people think that he does. I think he was kind of only really liked because of a wanting to cling on to the Obama administration. I'm not attacking Joe Biden whatsoever. I think he would do a fine job if he were elected president, but I don't think that he has as good a shot as Elizabeth Warren does.
But do you think, John, they'll pull the race card on him?
Oh, they're going to pull the race card, yeah. Yeah. But I think if there's one candidate on the Democratic side that could give him trouble, is Julian Castro. So I think he's the guy that's probably closest to middle of the road that could give him trouble, but he's never going to get out of a Democrat. He won't last through Super Tuesday.
No, I don't think so.
But he's probably.
But he could be a vice president candidate.
Yeah, maybe not.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like
maybe
he certainly could give him the most trouble, but he's not going to get the nomination. The nomination is going to go to Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, or Bernie Sanders.
So it's a retirement. It's a retirement gift.
You can't dismount Harris because she's, senator from California. And then there's a lot of votes that come from California.
Yeah, but does she get enough convention votes?
There you go.
And over there, and don't forget, the Democrats have that super delegate thing, so they can put in anybody they want for the super delegates. Now, it's funny. The Republicans have one candidate. Well, Bill Weld, he's not really a candidate. Republicans have one
Bill
candidate.
Weld is just running as an anti-Trumper, yes.
Right. 2016, the Republicans had 17 candidates. You could look at that stage and say, you know what, any one of these guys would be a great president, right? So now we'll have 8 years of Donald Trump, right? So in 2024, when the seat's up for grabs again, the Republicans' bench isn't going to be strong. It's going to look like the Democrats' bench was in 2016. So the Democrats in 2024 will probably have 7 candidates that could win.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll coalesce around one real strong candidate that will probably win.
Well, folks, we could debate it here all night, but I think what a nice thing that just happened here, Nick thinks that Donald Trump shows his racist tendencies. John does not, but I think we had a good, healthy, productive debate, and we'll pick it up again here next time. We're going to take a quick break here on Good Night, and we'll come back and we'll wrap things up right here on Good Night.